we did a report that is called Guns versus Cell Phones that gathers what we found and we see during the social protests in Colombia that took place from the end of April till mid-June. This is very important because during this time, we had marches and activities that were called all around the country. And at the end, we had 75 people killed, 83 people lost an eye, 28 suffered sexual abuses, thousands were detained, thousands suffered of some kind of physical injuries. So it was a violent, not protest, a violent reaction from the government. From all of what we've seen, I would like to focus on the issues of what we call the interference of internet. So it's very specific shutdowns that took place. And I would like to say to address it from 3 points of view, right? So the first one is something that Marianne already mentioned, that of course not all interruptions are illegal. And in our countries, this can also have to do with the fact that we have very weak infrastructures of everything, communications, power, and it often and most frequently affects certain populations that are frequently affected also by protest. So lack of access to quality connectivity, mass events, maintenance of the service provider network, etc., can be the reason of an internet shutdown. The main problem that we thought was important to address here was no matter the origin, the censorship sensation is real for the people. And then the nature of the interruption is even more important because it is not the same to learn that you are not able to connect because the company is doing something it is repairing something, or there was stolen cables or something like that, that if you know it was because of the government. And of course, as Mariana said, the nuances there are so much. It is not always the fact that there is an order from the state. It could also be that, oh, coincidence, today there's going to be a reparation in your neighborhood. But still, origin and nature is very important. We need to try to understand that. And often the problem is that it is not that the socio-political context or the technical complexities can justify an interruption. It is also not the case that the state can prevent itself from investigating. It is more. In cases of unrest, social unrest, the state has to investigate. In Colombia, there was no blackout, and that here, especially in general in the region, we don't have the cases that there are in other regions of the world. Doesn't mean that having a specific blackouts or specific shutdowns does not affect. They do affect. And I think that the main thing that was different this time in Colombia is that we were able to prove that it was affecting the protest, and that companies and the government were forced to provide information, to go out and explain a shutdown, an interference of the internet, which is the first time it happens in Colombia, and I don't know even if in other places. And the point here is it was a very specific situation. In May 4 in Cali, during that afternoon, there was a lot of noise on the social network on things happening, and during that night 3 people were killed in a specific neighborhood called Siloé in Cali. By the morning, NetBlocks reported that Cali had suffered 25% of affectation in its infrastructure. Movistar and ISP had to go out and explain and say there were because of cable stalling, we were not able, there was a shutdown of 25%, especially in Agua Blanca, and we were not able to repair it because there was a protest. And it also meant that the Ministry of ICT would go out and echoed Movistar and said, and they added that this was because of vandalism. But the point is, the main claims in the network was not about Agua Blanca, it was about Siloé. and it was about cell phone. And all the descriptions were closer to a jammer intervention. So state explanations about the internet outage in Cali were insufficient. In Colombia, jammers are allowed. And of course, I think every country in the world uses jammers in the jail. But what we found is also that there is a resolution, an administrative act that says that also since 2018, the state security forces have a special authorization to use jammers when there is a relation to public security without any kind of authorization. So if you put what was happening in Cali with this authorization, kind of there's a good doubt that this could happen. Of course, this authorization is not legal. It doesn't match any legality, necessity, and proportionality test. It won't, but there it is. And it might be the case. And the problem is if you ask, they will say national security or anything. And it is, if it's very hard to investigate, as it is difficult, as Indira mentioned, to investigate certain kinds of shutdowns, it is even worse if you are under national security umbrella. And I would say there's another layer. Colombia does not have an institutional framework that allows that allows an oversight mechanism. So we have a Commission for Communication Regulation that has no oversight powers. And over the spectrum, it is the National Spectrum Agency that depends on the Ministry of ICT. So the Ministry of ICT is in charge of oversight of internet and the spectrum. Therefore, it is not independent to monitor the government of which it is part. If there's a protest, the government is a part of it, and it is very difficult to do.